Mr. Hunter, how would you define, it's not a trick question, by the way, how would you define a border, a sovereign border?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A sovereign border, the United States for any country, is critical under laws to ensure it is the responsibility of the country to ensure.
Would you describe the sovereign border as a definite line between a sovereign nation and, say, international waters, or between sovereign nations?
It is indeed, Mr. Chairman.
Indeed it is.
National demarcation, yes.
So you would concur that a sovereign border is a definite line?
It's where the United States exercises its authorities, yes, sir.
Ah.
It is where the
It
United
is,
States.
and thus we have shifted. So it's where a sovereign nation exercises its authority upon sovereign soil. Would you say, like our embassies across the world are considered our sovereign soil, are they not?
I believe so. I would defer to my State Department colleague on our consular.
So you initially interpreted a border in the traditional and historical sense of what a border is. I recall years ago in one of my many trips to the border, there was only a couple of us there, and I ventured across the water there on the rocks where the illegal immigrants had been crossing by the hundreds at this particular point. And the agents present were quite concerned lest I take one step too many. As I walked towards the center, there was like, "Congressman, don't take another step." Because one more step and I was in Mexico. That's our sovereign border. This is the historical understanding of our border. But in April of 2023, the Department of State and the Department of Homeland Security announced measures to, quote, "to reduce unlawful migration across the Western Hemisphere, significantly expand lawful pathways for protection, and facilitate the safe, orderly, and humane processing of migrants," close quote. This is a quote that was cited by a couple of the panelists here before us today. These are the words of the Biden administration. This announcement further expanded the CBP One app, creating a whole new parole process and opening, quote, "regional processing centers in the Western Hemisphere." As far as we know, the regional processing centers, pay attention, America, what's going on here? These regional processing centers, also known as safe mobility offices, have been opened in Ecuador, Colombia, Guatemala, and Costa Rica, and have allowed DHS to quickly process illegal immigrants in the cartel pipeline wishing to enter the United States, or stating that their intention is to enter the United States, should they continue their journey northward in the cartel pipeline that leads to the southern sovereign border of the United States of America. These regional processing centers, which is hard to get a clear picture of, is difficult to get maps, numbers, deployments, mission parameters. Makes no sense to me why, with the historic crisis at our border, hundreds of thousands of individuals entering the country every month, not every year, every month. Makes no sense to most Americans when they discover we're processing and transporting immigrants from within foreign nations, not on sovereign American soil, not through ports of entry, but through these regional processing centers. Under this new system, the entire world has become the sovereign American border by the interpretation of the Biden administration. If you have legal authority to establish regional processing centers in Ecuador, Colombia, Guatemala, and Costa Rica, and I'm about to ask you to please cite that legal authority, then why can you put those up everywhere in the world? We no longer have a sovereign border to defend and enforce our laws. We can process illegal immigrants, undocumented illegal immigrants, unscreened, directly into the interior of our country. This is quite a concern. Ms. Sabatino, from these processing centers are illegal undocumented aliens being registered through CBP One app, granted parole, and flown directly into the interior of the United States, bypassing what most Americans would recognize as our sovereign border.
Thank you for the question, Chairman. With respect to individuals processed through the Safe Mobility Office, CBP does not have a role in identifying or
So who
vetting.
would you defer that to, Mr. Hunter?
With respect to the Safe Mobility Office,
With respect to illegal immigrants that are plucked out of the cartel pipeline in Central America at a DHS-established regional processing center, are any of those illegal aliens being flown directly from foreign nations into the interior of our country? Can we get a straight answer there?
Mr. Chairman, the operations at these safe mobility offices are in partnership with the Department of State and these host country governments. What we are doing are screening individuals who are maybe eligible for existing pathways such as refugee resettlement, and we are conducting full refugee resettlement screening and vetting.
Are they being flown into the interior of our country?
If they are indeed approved to be resettled as refugees, then the standard processes apply. They are being organized.
This was how you try to get to a yes, America. The answer is yes. Illegal aliens are being pulled from the cartel pipeline at DHS-established regional processing centers in Central and South America and flown directly into the interior of our country. My time has expired, and I now recognize the ranking member.